This story is called Shadows of the Moor. Beneath the brooding skies of Bodmin Moor, where the winds whispered secrets of centuries past and the ancient stones stood silent sentinel, rumors swirled of a fearsome beast that prowled the wilds, terrorizing the local villages and leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. For generations, the villagers had lived in fear of the creature, a monstrous beast with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws that struck without warning, leaving death and devastation in its wake. But despite their best efforts to hunt it down, the beast remained elusive, its presence felt only in the hushed whispers of frightened villagers. It was on a stormy night, when the moon hung low in the sky and the shadows danced across the moor, that a seasoned detective arrived in the village of St. Petrox, determined to uncover the truth behind the legend of the Beast of Bodmin Moor. His name was Detective James Thornton, a man of unwavering courage and unshakable resolve, and he would stop at nothing to solve the mystery that had plagued the village for generations. The air was heavy with the scent of rain as Detective Thornton made his way through the deserted streets of St. Petrox, his senses keenly attuned to any sign of danger. The villagers watched him warily from behind shuttered windows, their faces pale with fear as they whispered amongst themselves. With dogged determination, Detective Thornton set out to interview the locals, piecing together the fragments of the creature's history. He listened intently as they recounted tales of terrifying encounters with the beast, their voices trembling with fear as they spoke of its monstrous form and unearthly howls that echoed across the moor. But the more he learned, the more he realized that the truth was far more complex than he could have ever imagined. For lurking beneath the surface of the moor was a darkness that threatened to consume them all, a darkness that had lain hidden for centuries, waiting for the right moment to strike. As Detective Thornton delved deeper into the mystery, he uncovered a web of deceit and betrayal that stretched back through the generations, a web woven by those who sought to harness the power of the beast for their own sinister purposes. With each new clue he uncovered, Detective Thornton grew closer to unraveling the truth behind the legend of the Beast of Bodmin Moor. And then, just when he was on the verge of unlocking the final piece of the puzzle, he found himself face to face with the creature itself, a towering shadow with glowing eyes and bared fangs, its roar echoing across the moor like thunder. With a steady hand and a heart full of courage, Detective Thornton faced the beast head-on, his eyes blazing with determination as he fought to protect the villagers from the darkness that threatened to consume them. And as the final blow was struck and the beast lay vanquished at his feet, he knew that he had saved the village from a fate worse than death. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the moor, the villagers emerged from their homes to greet the new day. Their faces were filled with gratitude and hope as they gathered in the village square to celebrate their deliverance from the darkness that had plagued them for so long. And as Detective Thornton stood among them, his heart filled with pride, he knew that he had accomplished what he had set out to do, to bring light to the shadows of Bodmin Moor and restore peace to the village of St. Petrox once more. This story is called The Echoes of Oakhaven, and this story comes to us from the heart of England land. In the heart of Sherwood Forest, where the ancient trees whispered secrets of centuries past, lay the forgotten village of Oakhaven. Its cobblestone streets were lined with quaint cottages adorned with colorful flower boxes, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of wildflowers. For generations, Oakhaven had stood as a sanctuary for those seeking refuge from the chaos of the outside world. But as the years passed, the village fell into decline, its once vibrant streets slowly becoming deserted as the younger generation sought their fortunes elsewhere. It was on a crisp autumn morning that a group of hikers stumbled upon the village, their curiosity piqued by the tales of its mysterious disappearance. The sun cast long shadows across the empty streets as they ventured deeper into the heart of Oakhaven, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The first signs of life interrupted greeted them as they approached the village square, a market stall laden with fresh produce, a child's toy left abandoned on the cobblestones. But there was no sign of the villagers themselves, no trace of where they had gone or why they had left so suddenly. As they explored further, they discovered clues that hinted at a mass exodus, a hastily packed suitcase left by the doorway, a half-finished meal left to cool on the kitchen table. But the more they searched, the more questions arose. until they found themselves ensnared in a web of mystery that seemed to have no end. Desperation clawed at their hearts as they searched for answers, their minds racing with possibilities. Had the villagers fled in fear of some unseen threat, or had they simply grown tired of their secluded existence and sought a new life elsewhere? Hours turned into days as they delved deeper into the heart of the village, their determination unyielding in the face of the unknown. And then, just when they were on the verge of giving up hope, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber beneath the village church, a chamber filled with ancient artifacts and cryptic symbols that hinted at a long-forgotten past. With trembling hands, they pieced together the fragments of the village's history, uncovering a tale of love and betrayal that stretched back through the generations. They learned of a curse that had been placed upon the village centuries ago, a curse that had doomed its inhabitants to an eternity of suffering and despair. But as they delved deeper into the mystery, they uncovered a glimmer of hope, a way to break the curse and free the village from its dark fate. With renewed determination, they set about unraveling the secrets hidden within the chamber, their minds alight with the possibilities of what lay ahead. And then, just as they were on the verge of unlocking the final piece of the puzzle, they were confronted by a shadowy figure, a figure shrouded in darkness, its eyes gleaming with malice as it lunged towards them with outstretched claws. With a cry of fear, they fought back with all their strength, their hearts pounding in their chests as they battled against the darkness that threatened to consume them. But just when it seemed that all hope was lost, they remembered the words of an ancient prophecy, a prophecy that spoke of a chosen one who would rise up to vanquish the darkness and restore balance to the world. With a newfound sense of purpose, they rallied together, their spirits unbroken in the face of adversity. And as they unleashed their combined strength against the shadowy figure, they felt a surge of power coursing through their veins, a power that banished the darkness and restored peace to the village of Oakhaven once more. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm glow across the empty streets, the villagers emerged from their hiding places, their faces filled with gratitude and hope. And as they gathered in the village square to celebrate their newfound freedom, they knew that they owed their salvation to the brave souls who had dared to venture into the heart of darkness and emerge victorious. And so, as the stars twinkled overhead and the fires burned bright, they danced beneath the moonlit sky, their laughter echoing through the night as they celebrated the triumph of good over evil and the power of hope to conquer even the darkest of shadows. The midday sun filtered through the thick canopy of leaves, casting dappled patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor, as I ventured deeper into the heart of Blackwood Forest. Towering trees loomed overhead like ancient sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers grasping at the sky. I had always been drawn to the mysteries of the wilderness, and Blackwood Forest was rumored to be one of the most haunted places in the region. But despite the warnings of locals and the tales of strange happenings that had occurred within its depths, I was determined to explore its secrets for myself. As I followed the narrow trail that wound its way through the dense undergrowth, a sense of unease settled over me like a heavy cloak. The forest seemed to pulse with a palpable energy, and the air was thick with the cloying scent of decay. Hours passed as I ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the sun sinking lower in the sky with each passing moment. The trail grew fainter, obscured by fallen branches and tangled vines, and I realized with a sinking feeling that I had lost track of my surroundings. Panic began to gnaw at the edges of my mind as I struggled to find my way back to the safety of the trail, but the forest seemed to stretch on endlessly in every direction, its twisted pathways leading me further and further into its dark embrace. As night fell and darkness descended like a suffocating blanket, I knew that I had no choice but to make camp for the night and pray for the dawn to break. I gathered what little firewood I could find and set about building a makeshift shelter beneath the shelter of a towering oak tree. But as I settled in for the night, a sense of unease settled over me like a shroud. The forest was eerily silent, devoid of the usual sounds of nocturnal creatures, and a chill wind whispered through the trees like the breath of a ghost. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread that had settled over me, but sleep eluded me, and I lay awake for hours, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. And then, just as I was on the verge of drifting off into an uneasy slumber, I heard it. The sound of footsteps crunching through the underbrush. My heart quickened in my chest as I strained to listen, but the sound faded as quickly as it had come, leaving behind a heavy silence that seemed to press down on me like a weight. I reached for the knife that I kept at my side, my fingers closing around the hilt with a sense of grim determination. But no matter how tightly I gripped it, I could not shake the feeling that I was not alone in the forest. Hours passed in tense silence, each rustle of leaves or snap of a twig sending shivers down my spine. And then, just as I thought that I could bear it no longer, the forest erupted into chaos, a cacophony of unearthly screams and cries that echoed through the trees like the wails of the damned. I leapt to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest as I scanned the darkness for any sign of the source of the commotion. And then I saw them, figures emerging from the shadows, their forms twisted and contorted in grotesque mockery of humanity. With a cry of terror, I turned and fled into the night, my footsteps echoing through the silent forest as I ran blindly through the underbrush. But no matter how fast I ran, the shadows pursued me, their dark forms twisting and writhing like living things, and as the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I was lost in the shadows of Blackwood Forest, doomed to wander its twisted depths for all eternity. The forest stretched endlessly before me, a dense thicket of towering trees that seemed to swallow the light. It was late afternoon when I set out on what was supposed to be a leisurely hike through the Valewood, a vast wilderness renowned for its untouched beauty and untamed wilderness. Little did I know that my excursion would soon turn into a nightmare from which there would be no escape. The trail started off well marked and easy to follow, winding its way through a lush carpet of ferns and wildflowers. The air was filled with the symphony of chirping birds and the gentle rustle of leaves, and I felt a sense of exhilaration as I immersed myself in the natural beauty that surrounded me. But as the hours passed and the sun sank lower in the sky, I realized with a sinking feeling that I had lost track of the trail. Panic began to gnaw at the edges of my mind as I searched frantically for any sign of the path that would lead me back to safety. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees pressing in from all sides like silent sentinels guarding some ancient secret. Shadows danced in the fading light, and a sense of foreboding settled over me like a shroud. I tried to retrace my steps, but the landscape seemed to shift and change before my eyes, disorienting me further. Every tree looked the same, every rock and fallen log a mirror image of the one before it. It was as if the forest itself was playing tricks on me, leading me deeper into its tangled embrace with each step I took. As night fell and darkness descended like a suffocating blanket, I knew that I was truly lost. Fear gripped me in its icy claws as I stumbled blindly through the underbrush, my heart pounding in my chest. Hours passed in a blur of terror and confusion, and still, I found no sign of civilization. Exhausted and disoriented, I collapsed onto the damp forest floor, my body trembling with exhaustion and fear. But sleep eluded me, haunted as I was by the eerie silence of the forest and the sense of being watched by unseen eyes. Every rustly of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine, and I huddled closer to myself, praying for the first light of dawn to banish the darkness and reveal a way out of this nightmare. When morning finally came, it brought with it a sliver of hope. I rose stiffly to my feet, determined to press on despite the gnawing hunger and bone-deep fatigue that plagued me. But as I stumbled forward, I realized, with a sinking feeling, that I was no closer to finding my way out of the forest than I had been the night before. The trees stretched endlessly before me, their twisted branches reaching out like grasping fingers, and I knew that I was well and truly lost. With each passing hour, my situation grew more desperate. My water supply was dwindling, and I had no way of knowing if help would ever come. I was alone, trapped in a wilderness that seemed intent on swallowing me whole. Days turned into weeks, and still, I wandered aimlessly through the endless expanse of trees, my hope fading with each passing moment. I tried to ration what little food and water I had left, but it was a losing battle against the relentless march of time. And then, just when I thought that all hope was lost, I stumbled upon a clearing in the forest, a small glade bathed in golden sunlight. For a moment, I dared to believe that salvation was within reach. that I had finally found my way out of the Valewood. But as I stepped into the clearing, a feeling of dread washed over me like a tidal wave. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and a sense of malevolence hung in the air like a thick fog. And then I saw it, a figure standing at the far edge of the glade, its form shrouded in shadow. My blood ran cold as I realized that I was not alone, that something, or someone, was watching me from the depths of the forest. With trembling hands, I reached for the knife that hung at my belt, steeling myself for whatever horrors awaited me. But before I could take another step, the figure vanished into the trees, leaving behind nothing but a lingering sense of dread. I knew then that I was not meant to leave the Valewood alive, that I was doomed to wander its tangled depths for all eternity. And as the forest closed in around me once more, swallowing me whole, I knew that I would never escape its grasp. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving a crimson stain across the sky as I ventured deeper into the heart of the forest. Towering trees loomed overhead, casting elongated shadows that seemed to dance with every rustle of the wind. My footsteps were muffled by the thick carpet of leaves beneath my boots, and the only sound was the occasional call of a distant owl. I had always been drawn to the wilderness, captivated by its untamed beauty and the sense of freedom it offered. But tonight, as I ventured further into the depths of the forest, a sense of unease began to creep over me like ivy crawling up an ancient ruin. I brushed aside the feeling, chalking it up to my overactive imagination, but the sensation persisted, growing stronger with each passing moment. It was as if the very air around me was charged with an unseen energy, prickling the hairs on the back of my neck. As darkness descended like a suffocating blanket, I quickened my pace, eager to reach the safety of my campsite before nightfall fully engulfed the forest. But no matter how fast I walked, the trees seemed to stretch on endlessly, the path ahead shrouded in an impenetrable darkness. Suddenly I heard it, a faint whispering, like the susurration of leaves in the wind. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest, and strained my ears to listen. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent, echoing through the trees like a sinister chant. Fear gripped me like a vice as I stumbled forward, desperate to escape the eerie sound that seemed to surround me on all sides. But no matter which direction I turned, the whispers followed, twisting and warping into a cacophony of voices that seemed to speak directly into my mind. I tried to block them out, to focus on putting one foot in front of the other, but the whispers wormed their way into my thoughts, filling my head with their maddening chorus. Images flashed before my eyes, shadowy figures darting between the trees, eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. I tried to scream, to call out for help, but my voice was drowned out by the relentless cacophony of whispers. Panic clawed at my chest as I stumbled blindly through the darkness, each step leading me further into the heart of the forest's twisted embrace. Just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the whispers abruptly ceased, leaving behind a heavy silence that pressed down on me like a suffocating weight. I stood frozen in place, gasping for breath, my heart hammering in my chest. And then, from the depths of the forest came a sound unlike anything I had ever heard before, a low, guttural growl that reverberated through the trees like thunder. Terror seized me in its icy grip as I realized that I was not alone in the darkness. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the flashlight, clipped to my belt and flicked it on, the feeble beam cutting through the blackness like a knife. What I saw, illuminated before me, sent a shiver down my spine. A pair of glowing eyes like hot coals burning in the night, staring back at me from the shadows. I wanted to run, to flee back the way I had come. But my legs refused to move, rooted to the spot as if held in place by some unseen force. The creature stepped forward, its form shrouded in darkness, and I caught a glimpse of razor-sharp teeth gleaming in the faint light. In that moment, I knew that I was no longer a mere visitor in the wilderness. I was prey, caught in the merciless grip of a predator that lurked in the darkness, waiting to claim its next victim. As the creature advanced, I closed my eyes and whispered a silent prayer, knowing that there was no escape from the nightmare that awaited me in the Whispering Woods. In the heart of the Peak District, where the moors stretched like a desolate expanse of forgotten dreams, there loomed the ominous silhouette of Kinderscout. Its jagged peaks pierced the sky, casting a menacing shadow over the surrounding landscape. But it wasn't the rugged terrain that held the most chilling tale. It was the legend of the Phantom of Kinderscout. It was on a moonless night, when the mist crept stealthily across the moors like a shroud, and the air crackled with an eerie energy, that a group of thrill-seekers embarked on a daring expedition to conquer the peaks of Kinderscout. Among them was Clara, a spirited adventurer with a penchant for unraveling mysteries and a heart unyielding to fear. As they trudged through the fog-choked landscape, the sense of foreboding grew with each step, as if the very moorland itself were warning them to turn back. But Clara's curiosity drove her ever onward, her mind fixated on the tales she had heard of the phantom that haunted these desolate hills. As they reached the summit, the moon emerged from behind the clouds, casting an ethereal glow over the moors below. And there, amidst the swirling mist, stood the Phantom of Kinderscout, a spectral figure cloaked in darkness, its form shifting and undulating like smoke in the wind. Clara's heart raced as she stared into the abyss of the phantom's eyes, feeling a chill run down her spine at the otherworldly presence before her. But instead of succumbing to fear, she felt a strange sense of curiosity stirring within her, a desire to uncover the truth behind the legend that had haunted these hills for centuries. With trembling hands and a voice that wavered only slightly, Clara stepped forward to confront the phantom, her eyes blazing with determination. She demanded answers, her words echoing through the stillness of the night as she challenged the creature that stood before her. But the phantom remained silent, its eyes gleaming with a malevolent light as it reached out to ensnare Clara in its icy grip. With a cry of defiance, she fought back with all her strength, her mind blasé with the knowledge that she alone held the power to break free from the darkness that threatened to consume her. As she struggled against the phantom's grasp, Clara felt a surge of energy coursing through her veins, a power that she had never known before, a power that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the moors themselves. And with a final burst of strength, she broke free from the phantom's hold, sending it recoiling back into the shadows from whence it came. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Clara emerged from the mist-shrouded moors, her heart pounding with exhilaration at the victory she had won. And as she looked out over the desolate landscape, she knew that she had uncovered a truth far darker and more mysterious than she could have ever imagined, a truth that would haunt her dreams for the rest of her days. This story is called Whispers of This Cliffs, and again takes place in the Peak District. In the heart of the Peak District, where the rugged cliffs of Stanage Edge ominously stood out against the tumultuous sky, lay secrets buried deep within the craggy crevices and labyrinthine caves. Among the rolling hills and verdant valleys, whispers of forgotten civilizations and untold mysteries echoed among the cliffs. It was on a chilly autumn morning, when the mist clung to the jagged peaks and the air was heavy with the scent of damp earth, that a team of archaeologists embarked on a daring expedition to unravel the enigmatic secrets of Stanage Edge. Leading the expedition was Dr. Eleanor Harris, a renowned scholar with a passion for uncovering the mysteries of the past. As they made their way along the rugged trails that wound through the moors, Dr. Harris felt a sense of anticipation building within her, a feeling of being on the brink of discovery that sent shivers down her spine. The landscape seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, as if the very cliffs themselves were alive with secrets waiting to be revealed. Their journey led them deeper into the heart of Stanage Edge, where the cliffs rose like towering monoliths against the sky. The rocks were etched with ancient symbols and markings, their surfaces weathered by centuries of wind and rain. And there, hidden amidst the crags and crevices, lay the entrance to a series of mysterious caves that had remained untouched for millennia. With trembling hands and hearts full of anticipation, the archaeologists descended into the darkness of the caves, their lanterns casting long shadows on the walls. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, and the echoes of their footsteps reverberated through the narrow passages like whispers of the past. As they explored deeper into the labyrinth of caves, they uncovered artifacts of untold significance, golden trinkets adorned with precious gemstones, intricately carved idols, and ancient scrolls filled with cryptic symbols that hinted at a civilization long forgotten, But their joy was short-lived, for as they delved deeper into the depths of the caves, they uncovered a darkness that threatened to consume them, a darkness that had been sealed away for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be unleashed upon the world once more. With each new discovery, Dr. Harris and her team grew closer to unraveling the truth behind the mysteries of Stanage Edge. But as they delved deeper into the labyrinth of caves, they uncovered a darkness that threatened to consume them, a darkness that had been sealed away for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be unleashed upon the world once more. As they delved deeper into the heart of the caves, they came upon a chamber unlike any they had ever seen before. A vast cavern filled with strange markings and symbols that seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy. And there, at the center of the chamber, lay a mysterious artifact, a glowing orb that radiated with an ethereal light. With trembling hands, Dr. Harris reached out to touch the orb, her heart pounding in her chest as she felt the power of the ancient artifact coursing through her veins. And as she gazed into its depths, she saw visions of a lost civilization, a civilization that had once thrived amidst the cliffs of Stanage Edge, only to be consumed by darkness and despair. But just as Dr. Harris was on the verge of unlocking the secrets of the orb, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, a figure cloaked in darkness and shrouded in mystery. It was the guardian of the orb, a being of immense power and ancient wisdom, who had watched over the artifact for centuries, waiting for the chosen one who would be worthy to wield its power. With a voice like thunder, the guardian spoke of prophecies and legends, of a darkness that threatened to consume the world and a hero who would rise up to vanquish it. And as Dr. Harris listened to the guardian's words, she knew that she had been chosen for a purpose far greater than she could have ever imagined. With a newfound sense of purpose, Dr. Harris and her team set out to fulfill the prophecy, their hearts filled with courage and determination. And as they emerged from the depths of Stanage Edge, they knew that they had uncovered a truth far darker and more mysterious than they could have ever imagined, a truth that would change the course of history forever.